Hello, my name is Juan Vicente Boronat, and this video corresponds to the final task of specialized English language. And well, for this task, I prepared two math activities for secondary students based on the glossary I prepared in the task 1.2. And the text I analyzed in that task is too much complicated to work in this level. But I prepared two activities taking into account part of the vocabulary of it. Mm, First, I want to emphasize that there's a lot of much common vocabulary that will work in both activities because this vocabulary is very usual in maths. For example, add, multiply, calculation, equal. This vocabulary, as is logical, appear in the text, and we work it every day in maths and, of course, in the two activities. Now I'm going to explain the two activities detailing the principal structure and the most relevant aspects of them. Well, we have here activity 1. Okay, in the first activity, students must work on a computer or a tablet or an iPad. They must do this activity with a specialized math software. In this case, we'll use GeoGebra. I suppose it's a software that they already know because it's very common at this level in maths. I focus this activity on vocabulary related to the branch of mathematical analysis, uh, such as function, coefficients, polynomial, limits, etc., as you can see in the activity. For this activity, we will form groups of 2 or 3 students, and that's very important because my intention is that during the execution of the activity, they can interact with each other. It's important, this. And the activity, as you can see, has 3 different parts. In each one of them, the students will have to analyze some of the graphs of different functions we can find at the activity. And in each part of them, there are questions too, and the students must try to answer it. And these questions will help them reach the conclusions we want. For example, conclusions about the graphic representations or the influence of the different coefficients in an equation. Finally, the purpose of this activity is students, of course, learn some vocabulary of mathematical analysis and at the same time work on the concepts we want. Another important aspect to emphasize is the work on their expression. When they interact each other in the groups, and when they have to detail conclusions for each part of this activity. Well, I think it's all for this activity. Now we're gonna see activity 2. Okay, we have here. And on the second activity, we will work on vocabulary and aspects related to the branch of geometry. This vocabulary also appear in the glossary of activity 1.2. For instance, we can find area, figure, triangle, equation, and other words that maybe appear in the activity. The structure of this activity is composed of several photos, as you can see, and the general questions related to that photos. At the beginning, that questions are more general, and at the end, we can find more specific questions about concepts that we were previously. They must do this activity individually, but my intention is while they are doing it, open debates into the whole group to share global ideas or more specific. But again, my intention is they work their expression of the vocabulary we have in the activity. It's important that they can make a global vision of the problem, of course, and they explain correctly in the activity. Finally, the students must do some calculations using different theorems that they already know, and of course, justify it properly. Uh, Work on the vocabulary and all the concepts corresponding to their level. Mm, the purpose of this activity is that concepts that they already know, apply them to a real situation that we analyze in the photos. At the same time, they must arrive a conclusion of a general formula, and of course, learn part of the vocabulary related to geometry. Okay, I think this is enough for the activities. Now I'm going to detail some aspects of my work in these activities and how I'll evaluate it. First, the assessment criteria, it will be a half for the correct execution of the activities, of course, and a half for learning and adequate use of the new vocabulary worked on them. In this second part of the evaluation, we consider to the attitude of the students in the activities. For example, their motivation or their participation. That's an important issue for an effective learn, so we take it into account. Well, finally, the difficulties I've encountered preparing these activities principally were being to adapt the vocabulary of the text because some of them are very specialized and too much complicated for this level. I try to innovate preparing these activities that are interesting for them, where my intention is they can be those who work and learn with that experience working on the activity. As you can see in the first activity, where the students are those who work on the activity with my help, of course. I try to use new technologies too, or find some applications of mathematical concepts to real situations, trying to arouse their curiosity, as in the activity too. My intention is be far of the traditional lesson. Well, I think it's enough. This was my exposition. Thank you for your attention and goodbye.